Now, let's get into some really ugly stuff. Ew. What a nightmare. That took approximately 10 laps to develop. That was a brand new tire. We know that tires are incredibly expensive. That tire was pretty much done at that point, although in this instance that tire could have been reversed and cleaned up and made to heel up and would have been okay for a slower rider to use as a track day tire for maybe a day. When you see patterns like this on a tire, you should immediately stop, wonder what on earth is going on, and try and figure out, why do I have this problem? And we see this all the time at the track. We don't see it so much at club racing, and we certainly rarely see it at AMA Nationals because those guys have a very good handle on what they're doing. So this tire, which is a front tire, was driven into the ground with a geometry tear. The geometry was reversed. And what we have here, whenever you see the edge third of a tire scored like this, in wear patterns that follow the circumference of the tire, and if you look at the top of the wear, you'll see they're pretty uniform. They follow the circumference of the tire. That is because the tire does not have enough weight on it. Because it doesn't have enough weight, it cannot get to heat. It cannot get traction, it cannot get friction, and so when you get on the gas, the tire does what we call push. It drags itself across the ground instead of rolling along it. When it does that, it superheats the top of the tire and rips it to pieces. So a very, very broad tear like that means you have a significant geometry problem. And as we've said in many shows, even if we're talking about setting sag and doing hydraulics, you find yourself a baseline and you go either side of that baseline and make a marked change to see if it gets better or worse. And in this instance, we told the rider, go ahead, this is the problem, go the other direction and figure out how far you need to go to fix it. In so doing, we move to the next picture, which will show us what happened next to that rider's tire. Look at that. Compared to the previous picture, you wouldn't really notice that that was too bad an image. When looking at a tire, you'd think it was a little rough and not particularly pretty, shall we say. But compared to the previous picture, because we put the bike on its nose to give the front wheel grip, friction, therefore heat, the tire started to heal itself. And that healed itself within one session and then ran another session to get it to that point. So basically 30 minutes and the tire returned to that condition and became somewhat rideable again for a practice tire for the racer involved. So you can see if you don't know what to do, if you do something, you can miraculously get the tire back. And with our project GSXR, when we go to the track, what we're hoping to do is do tire wear segments on that to show you how tires can be healed if you can recognize the damage quickly and do something positive and proactive about that damage. So there's a picture within just a short space of time of what somebody would have just chucked as completely unusable, worthless, and didn't even want to look at as now a usable practice tire, based on a subtle geometry change.